Hi and welcome to Skein Studio. My name is Kristen. You can find me on Instagram as Skein Yarn and on Ravelry as K10, that's K10. Hope you're all doing really well. Today is Monday. I'm here at the studio really early today because it's going to be a hot day. I need to get out the back and start dyeing up yarns. If I leave it too late then it gets really hot. It's very humid now. Since we're in December, yeah, we are in the subtropics, so it does get very humid and hot. So, hope you're well. So I didn't record last week because I didn't have anything to show you. I have been working solidly on getting a new design out. That is for the Sock Love Club, which we are running. It's almost finished. The last shipment will be this December. I think next week we're shipping it. And there was a free pattern attached to the Sock Club. So I actually had cast on and was knitting the pattern before we left to go overseas. So I already had everything done. I just needed to knit both socks, and I had knit one but I needed to knit the second one, and I had second sock syndrome and I kept putting it off and then yes, I just had to knit it. So I had nothing to show you last week because that's all I worked on, and I couldn't show you the socks because they're a secret until next week. I don't have a lot to show you this week, but I have more obviously than last week. But pretty much I have been knitting on my test knit, which is the Red Cliffs, yes, Red Cliffs top by AbbyeKnits, and I'll put a picture up so you can see what that looks like. Sorry, all my stuff is on the table over here. So I think Abby is planning to release this in January. It's a test knit. She actually, we are collaborating, so I had sent her yarn, I'd sent her our Bliss DK, which is the merino cashmere blend, and she knit up this amazing design, and then she asked if I wanted to test knit it, and I said yes. So there's me and a couple of other people. I didn't have any Bliss DK in stock, so I've just used our Voyage DK, which is our 100% superwash merino, and it's knitting up really nicely. So this is the front. It's completely done. It's got little pyramids, which is I guess the inspired cliffs, red cliffs, on the two panels at the bottom, and then it's just plain stocking knit at the top. It is knit in pieces. You could easily modify this pattern to knit it in the round. I thought about it, but then it's a test knit, so I just knit it as pattern called for. The other thing I thought of too is that, and if I wasn't test knitting this but I was knitting it myself, I probably would, although I have enjoyed doing this, I could have knit it all in one colour. So you don't need to have these panels. You could knit the whole thing in one colour. But in saying that, it does give, I mean, that's the whole aesthetic of the design, is that it's got the colour work, the colour blocks at the bottom. So you could do it lots of different ways. It's a really nice design. And of course, deep V neck. Pretty much all you're doing is knitting from bottom up, two pieces, joining them at the shoulders, and then you have a tiny bit of a seam up the two sides, so it's nothing difficult. And she lets you decide how long you want to have your sleeves, because the sleeves, there are no sleeves picked up and knit. It's actually kimono sleeves, so it's in the actual body of the pattern. And you can sort of sew up to however far you want your sides to go up, and however wide you want your sleeves. So that's the front. The colourways I'm using are Polar Bear, Modern Love, and then Gothic Rose at the bottom. And I also started knitting the back. So I'm now at 12 inches and I think I need to do a few short rows and then I start working the back neck. So yeah, it's really good. It's going along very quickly, but like I said, because it's a test knit, I wanted to get this done quickly, so I haven't been working on anything else but this. One thing I do want to mention is last week I had a very nice delivery of Jiaogu needles. So I have been dying to buy some needles for a long time. When I went to Bendigo, middle of the year, I went and called in to see Fiberistic? I'll put it down. I can't believe I can't remember her name. Anyway, I'll put the store name down here. I can see it too because I follow her on Instagram. Anyway, she was so lovely that I spoke to her about the Jiaogus. By the time I got to her store, unfortunately a lot of the tips had sold out and a lot of the cables. I was able to get I think it was a 3.5 and a 4mm, which is roughly what I use for sweaters because I do a lot of sweater knitting. But the cables she had was very long, but I got them anyway because I just wanted to try it. And I have used them and I love them. My problem with needles at the moment is that the cables that I have for my old needles are very stiff. People have recommended to soak them in hot water and try and loosen the cables up, the plastic. But I just find it so uncomfortable, and when you're trying to knit in the round or even magic loop and then the cables twist and kink, I mean, you know what I mean. It's so irritating. I find it also hurts my wrists and my hands too. It's not very ergonomic. But knitting with the Jiaogus, I found them to be just heaven. They don't have any memory in the cables, so they're beautiful cables and you can twist and turn them and then they just come out straight. So they will never kink. They just can't kink. I usually, with my old cables, store them sort of wrapped up and then I stick them in my needle case. Maybe that's not a great idea. Maybe they do need to be kept somehow flat so they don't kink up. But anyway, I don't have to worry with these because they're just not going to do that. I got the lace point needles because I do like a sharp point on the end, and I mean, I have a hair in my mouth. Ugh. It isn't really pointy sharp where you're poking a hole in your finger, but it's perfect. Like, it just slips into the stitches really nicely, and yeah. The other thing that I really like about these, which I don't like normally about metal needles, is the shine that you get from them. So I gave up metal needles for a while because I found, particularly at night, I sit there and knit in front of the TV and I have like a light just above me, and the light from the light above was reflecting off the metal of the needles, and it was really glary, and it's the weirdest thing, and it just was really irritating me. Every time I looked down to look at my stitches, I'd get that glare. It was awful. So I ended up stopping using the metal needles and switching back to the wooden. But these needles have a coating on them, and it sort of mats the steel. So there is no glare. You can't, like, even when you put it in the sun, there's no glare off the needle. It sort of dampens the light down. They do mention that somewhere on their website. I was reading it after I got the needles, so I was actually quite impressed because it was very noticeable. And yeah, so if that really irritates you, then these are certainly ones to go for. The other thing is too, I don't find these metal tips to be very heavy at all. They're very, very light. So they feel really nice in your hands. So yeah, good old Jiaogu. I'm so happy I bought them. The set I got was a small set, so it comes with US size 2 or 2.75 millimeters, and then it goes up to US 8 or 5 millimeters, which is pretty much what I use. I don't knit a lot with lace yarn. I do knit socks, but I have my sock needles for the socks. So this is mainly for shawls and for sweaters, and it's perfect. So yeah, I was so happy when I got them. I just took my needles off the project straight away and put my new needles on. I just love them so much, and I don't think I'll ever go back to knitting with my old needles again. I think I will just build up a complete set of tips from ChiaoGoo's and buy a few more cables, and I think that'll be my set for years to come. The other thing that I have to talk about is excuse me, I have last week, and I'm going to lose my voice. This happens every single time I podcast. Okay, I decided a couple of weeks ago that for myself, I wanted to, in 2020, knit all of my projects in all different colours. So I found last year, it was around Bendigo time, so I think it was like January, actually no, it was before that. I had updated my Ravelry account and my Ravelry projects. I uploaded all the photos and updated everything, and then realised as I was looking at it that I had knit with one colour, I think it was purple, just for everything. Like there was just no difference in anything that I knit. It was all the same colour. It was just like, what? Like, I work with colour and I love colour, and why am I continually like knitting with the same colour all the time? I know we do all have that colour that we love and we can't help but pick, but sometimes, you know, it is nice to step outside the boundaries and choose something different. So I decided that I was going to look at a colour wheel and pick a colour that I'd never knit with and I don't really like, which, I mean, I do like it, but I don't usually tend to gravitate towards, and that was green. And so I knit this sweater, which is the Love Note. I chose a really light, sort of lichen-y, bright, mossy green, and then I paired it with a dark green, and I had so much fun knitting it. So I thought, well, okay, what's another colour I don't usually knit with? And that was orange. And so my next project was this one, the Row Cardigan, and I knit it using a rusty orange. And honestly, it's just been so much fun, just going through the colour wheel, picking things that I don't normally knit with and going, okay, well, I'll knit with that. And it's just broadened my colour palette and sort of lifted up my knitting. It's been fun. So I thought 2020 will be the year that I do that, and I'll assign a colour per month and I'll knit something in that colour like each month, and yeah, I'll just have fun with colour. Anyway, so I put it out there on Instagram, and there was quite a few people who got back to me saying that they would be interested in joining along. So I've started a 2020 Knit All the Colours knit along, which is going to be running over on Instagram. I think it's easier that way because we can all share projects and things. So I've started off, I've listed all the colours, it's all on the blog. I've done a blog post. It's also on Instagram, so I'll put links to it in case you want to join, which I hope you do. So January we start with yellow, February is orange, March is red, so it goes through all the colours from the colour wheel. So in January it's yellow. You can choose any tone of yellow that you want to knit with. It might be a really deep golden colour or a very bright neon yellow. Doesn't matter, it's just got to be a shade of yellow. You can knit like a whole sweater's worth if you want to, or you could just drop a little bit of yellow into colour work. Doesn't matter. I don't want this to be a stress out, you know, so many rules that you have to follow that it gets, you know, out of control. I just want it to be really easy. We're just enjoying colour. In 2020, we're enjoying colour. So, what else was I going to say? You can use any yarn too. It's not Skein yarn specific. You can use whatever you've got in your stash. You can buy colours for it. It doesn't matter. It's just a fun knit along. If you do use Skein yarn though, I am going to be choosing prizes for people. If they post on Instagram tagging us and tagging the knit along, I'll be choosing my favourites, and I'll be sending out a couple of prizes during the year. So I decided to knit the Ingalls sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and these are the colours that I'm going to use. So this will be the main colour. This is Polar Bear, and it's this nice sort of, that looks cool to me on the screen, but it's actually a warm grey. And then I'm going to pair it with this bright yellow, which is called Shine, and this will be the colour work around the yoke. So it's, again, it's not a huge project of yellow, it's just, I'm just going to add a bit in. I do love this colour. It's very, very bright. I actually discontinued this colour because people weren't buying it, but I just love it so much. I'm just so happy. It's a really bright sunny yellow. I don't usually wear this colour, but I could easily have it on the yoke part. It's not really going to take over, and yeah, it's not going to be something that I can't wear because I can't wear this colour, but I can kind of add it in, and it'll be a little flash of it, and it's not going to take over. So yeah, I hope you can join in. I don't think there's anything else I needed to say about that. I mean, all of the information is on our blog and on Instagram. Of course, the knit along starts on New Year's Day, so you can cast on then or cast on later. Oh, that was the other thing I was going to mention. Someone had said on Instagram that they wanted to knit a blanket, and every month they're going to add a stripe of that colour for the 12 months. And I think that's a great idea. You can totally do that. My other idea was the Advent shawls. So if they have, obviously, there's stripes, I think there's 24 colours. Could be 25. Anyway, you can modify it. You could add, you could run through each month and each colour, and maybe, you know, do 2 tones of yellow, 2 tones of orange, sort of do that. And every month just add your little bit of colour to your Advent shawl. Yeah, anyway, however you want to do it, it's fine. It's just a knit along to have fun with colour. And I say knit along, but it's actually knit along and crochet along. So if you're crocheting, it's totally fine too. Okay, gosh, I feel like I've sped through it. I will be back next week. I hopefully will have a lot more to show you. Hopefully the knitted cliffs will be finished. I'm pretty sure it will be. And yeah, hope you're all doing really well. Oh, I meant to mention my top. So I am wearing a design of mine which was I put out a couple of years ago. This is called the Gathered Top, or Gathering Top. God, I can't even remember my own design name. Pretty sure it's the Gathering Top. I'm just going to quickly check. No, I'm not, because it's going to take forever. I'll put the name down here. Anyway, it's knit out of top drawer sock. I don't often like talking about my designs because, you know, it feels weird. But anyway, it's a very, very nice, simple little top-down top. You knit the front first, you do a little gathered section here, and then you knit the back, join it in the round, and that's it. Just knit down. It does have a little split seam hem at the bottom. It's very nice, very cool for this time of year and for this climate. It's very, very nice to wear. I don't dye this colour anymore, so this is Blush Crush. It's an old colourway, But I'm thinking of re-knitting this again, probably out of our Daintree yarn, and in a updated colour, and then maybe adding that and releasing that, updating the pattern. So yes, I think that's everything. So I hope you're all doing really well, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.